Tonight on Currents News, police fire tear gas at protesters who are demanding answers after a Minneapolis man died in police custody. The FBI is launching a full-scale investigation into what happened. Governor Andrew Cuomo arriving at the White House today wearing his face mask for a sit-down with President Trump. Plus this.
A talented graphic designer is using her computer skills to help people cope with great loss during the pandemic. I'm Jessica Easthope, and that's ahead.
And a baby boom. Could newborns be on the way? Pro-lifers are revving up their help for mom and baby in the face of the pandemic. Plus, advice from a Catholic expert on keeping marriages strong while under lockdown. The news starts right now. Clashes erupt on the streets of Minneapolis over the death of an African-American man who told cops he couldn't breathe. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. The FBI is launching a civil rights investigation into the death of George Floyd. Video shows the man handcuffed and pinned to the ground with a cop's knee on his neck. 4 police officers have been fired, and now the Minneapolis mayor is calling for charges against the arresting officer. The footage is sparking community outrage in the city, and we want to let you know the video is difficult to watch.
Please, I can't breathe. Please, man, please, somebody help me.
The arrest of George Floyd was caught on video.
What do you want?
I can't breathe.
Bro, get up, get in the car, man.
I will.
Get up, get in the car.
I can't move.
I've been waiting the whole time, man. Get up, get in the car.
Mama.
Get up and get in the car right.
I can't.
Moaning on the ground in handcuffs with an officer's knee on his neck. Witnesses on this Minneapolis street can be heard pleading with police.
He's not responsive right now.
About 5 minutes into the video, Floyd stops moving, but the officer's knee remains on his neck. Another officer stands by. The 46-year-old died later at the hospital. The cops say they were responding to an alleged forgery in progress on Monday and that Floyd physically resisted, so they placed him under arrest.
No justice, no peace.
Protests have been intensifying in the city. Thousands flooded the streets on Tuesday, police throwing tear gas and non-lethal projectiles to disperse the crowds. The 4 police officers involved have been fired, a decision the mayor of Minneapolis supports.
For 5 minutes. When you hear someone calling for help, you are supposed to help. This officer failed in the most basic human sense.
But Floyd's family wants the officers charged with murder.
They treated them worse than they treat animals, and I wouldn't treat them like that. They took a life, now they deserve life. I don't feel sorry for them. They hurt me and they hurt my family.
They were supposed to be there to serve and to protect, and I didn't see a single one of them lift a finger to do anything to help. While he was begging for his life, not one of them tried to do anything to help him. That I didn't see. What I did see was murder.
This case is similar to the 2014 death of Eric Garner in New York. He also said the words, "I can't breathe," as an officer held him in a chokehold. The phrase became a rallying cry of the Black Lives Matter movement. That officer was fired but not charged with any crime. Minnesota's bishops are calling for justice in the Floyd case. The Catholic leaders were quick to speak out about the death. They're backing the state and federal investigations that are already looking into the incident to determine what happened. The Minnesota Catholic Conference, on behalf of the bishops, put out a statement saying, "This is a tragedy. People need to feel safe in their communities and have trust in law enforcement, who should exercise their power in a spirit of service. If there was misconduct, hopefully justice will be done." The people who knew him best called George Floyd a gentle giant, a transplant from Houston who came to Minneapolis for a fresh start. His fiancée described him as a man of God, and his employer said Floyd was his best friend. Reg Chapman has that part of the story.
The man in the video pleading for his life was a father, a friend, and co-worker who was loved and respected by all who knew him.
My customer loved Floyd. He was a nice guy. You know, he had a good customer service. He knew how to talk to people. He knew how to diffuse situations, and everyone respected him and they love him.
Conga Latina Bistro owner Giovanni Thurnstrom says Floyd was more than just an employee. He was his best friend.
Remember Floyd as just another black guy killed by a white police officer. Floyd was more than that. He was kind. He was helpful.
He's definitely one of the most spiritual men that I've ever come across.
Courtney Ross was Floyd's other half. She says he used to work at the Salvation Army and loved connecting with the people there.
And he even went down there when he wasn't working there to go hang out with mad dads and help and see the people. You know, these are the people that most of us don't even want to look at.
Ross says Floyd moved here from Houston, Texas for a fresh start, and he loved everything that Minnesota had to offer.
He always felt like everybody got a chance here. You know, he would tell his friends, like, come up to Minnesota, man, you can do it here. Like you can get a job and you can start fresh, and this is the place to do it.
Ross doesn't want people to remember Floyd for how he died, but for what he stood for during his 46 years of life.
You know, if he was here, he would say that he's a man of God.
Reg Chapman filing that report from Minnesota. The 46-year-old George Floyd lived in the Minneapolis suburb of St. Louis Park. To all of his neighbors and friends, he was known simply as Floyd. New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo was at the White House today for a sit-down meeting with President Trump. The Democrat was spotted wearing a blue surgical mask ahead of his meeting with the Republican president. The governor was there to talk about infrastructure projects. Cuomo is looking for support for a new Penn Station, a train link to LaGuardia Airport, and expansion of the 2nd Avenue subway. He said the projects are key to revitalizing New York's economy. A tragic consequence of the pandemic lockdown is that many people can't properly grieve for lost loved ones. A Catholic designer is using the talents God gave her to bring a new form of memorials to people in need of closure. Currents News' Jessica Easthope has the story.
They put in things that they liked, favorite foods, music, films. They have everything, their hobbies.
Like thousands of others across the Brooklyn diocese, Rita Pirro lost a loved one to COVID-19.
I lost a very beloved and favorite uncle. And we too could not have any type of traditional mourning service, which in our Catholic faith has an incredible role.
Rita began making these online memorials for victims of the coronavirus. Finding herself lost in grief, she thought of countless others who were dealing with the same. So she put her faith to work.
I thought about how I could be of some type of solace or bring some type of solace to these people through my graphics work. The family wanted their aunt to be remembered for her cooking, for her smile, for her generosity, and for her prayerful life.
Using her background as a graphic designer, Rita made close to 100 online memorials for victims of the coronavirus for free. Rita, what do most people want to see in these memorials?
They're usually 8.5 by 11. They include all types of images, any types of quotes, prayers. It's very individualized, very personalized.
Her online memorials made closure a click away for those who were told funerals would be on hold.
Some people have used them if they want prayers or a prayer service. They'll use them over Zoom. They'll have a Zoom prayer service.
Rita said she's been called to serve many times in her life. This is the latest way she's living her faith.
It's just another way for me to serve, live the mission of Christ. And we're all compelled to do that as Catholics.
Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
If you or someone you know would like a memorial made for a loved one, you can contact Rita by email at rpmemorials@gmail.com. We'll repeat the address at the end of the newscast. Tens of thousands of doctors and nurses have gotten sick from taking care of COVID-19 patients. More than 62,000 healthcare professionals contracted the coronavirus in the U.S. That's a big jump from less than 10,000 a little more than a month ago, according to the CDC. The agency believes the current numbers are probably an undercount since not all cases list a patient's profession. Almost 300 healthcare workers have died from the virus. Here are some more headlines. France is blocking the use of hydroxychloroquine as a treatment for coronavirus patients. The controversial medicine has been supported by President Trump. The French move is being made because of safety concerns. California is the fourth American state with at least 100,000 virus infections. It follows New York, New Jersey, and Illinois. Nearly 100,000 Americans have died from the disease. The European Union is planning on a stimulus package of almost $900 billion to pump up the bloc's economy. The funds will come from bond sales. The second named storm of the season is making landfall in South Carolina. Tropical Storm Bertha is dumping heavy rains along the coast about 20 miles east of Charleston. The storm is expected to cause flash flooding over portions of the Carolinas. Bertha is the second named tropical system of the year, and the season doesn't even start until June 1st. President Trump is taking aim at social media after Twitter put a fact-checked warning on two of his tweets about the election. Now, in a new tweet, he writes, Republicans feel that social media platforms totally silence conservative voices. We will strongly regulate them or close them down before we can ever allow this to happen. The White House wants federal agencies to have the power to regulate social media. There's a lot more news headed your way. Oh, baby, the pandemic could lead to a boom in pregnancies. How pro-lifers are preparing to help. Plus, the COVID effect on marriage, being on lockdown with your spouse, some advice on keeping that vow of for better or worse. And the founder of the Knights of Columbus could soon be one step closer to sainthood. Stay with us.
Now you can help us put your faith in the news. The next time you capture a newsworthy event, send us your pictures or video. It's easy. Go to netny.tv/send us, and you may see your submission on Currents News.
A new boom could be coming, a baby boom, with many couples locked down at home because of COVID-19. Some experts are looking for more newborns in the months ahead. But with so many people out of work, having a baby could be a huge financial strain. Pro-lifers are hard at work to make sure families have what they need to have a baby. Currents News' Emily Druby has their story.
We've got gel.
Chris Slattery sorts through donations for moms and newborns facing a financial strain with the mounting job losses caused by the pandemic.
We're providing many more alternatives and much more help than we've normally given.
His pro-life organization, Expectant Mother Care, has been helping mothers in need now and preparing for a potential baby boom as couples spend increasing amounts of time together at home.
There might be an increase in birth rates. And it's great. That's wonderful. You know, the church is happy that it is alive and it's growing with little ones.
Christian Rada, the director of Marriage, Family Formation, and Respect Life Education for the Diocese of Brooklyn, says support is essential to help women choose life, especially during unstable times like these.
Families are wondering, like, how can I support another person, another mouth to feed when I'm struggling to support myself?
In New York City, the unemployment rate is 22%. The city comptroller estimates another 900,000 could lose their jobs by July. And if there was a baby boom, women would either be pregnant now or very soon, meaning they would need help right away.
When the pregnancies are towards the early signs, like 12 weeks, that's pretty soon now. We're probably really around the corner. So we just want to be able to support those women right away.
Sister Magdalene Teresa is with the Sisters of Life. They've been expanding their efforts to keep up with the increased need caused by the financial hardships of the pandemic. To help, the sisters have been delivering essentials personally and creating an extensive baby registry on Amazon. Like the sisters, Slattery's organization has been doing all they can to help, distributing everything from diapers to bikes.
It offers the essential hope.
Slattery estimating they'll give out about $1 million in goods over the next 3 months, and the need is greater than ever.
We have seen a dramatic number of calls with interest in getting abortion.
This could be because of increased financial pressure of having a baby. Slattery added he could be seeing more calls because some abortion facilities have closed for the pandemic. Adding it shows just how important it is to step up for mothers during this time so they can choose life. In Manhattan, Emily Druby, Currents News.
For more information about the help that's being offered, go to emcfrontline.org. That's Chris Slattery's group. Or log on to amazon.com/baby-reg and type in the words Sisters of Life. We'll repeat these sites at the end of the newscast. Keeping your family strong is more important than ever. While there's talk about corona babies, there's also talk about corona divorces. The pandemic's effect on marriage is yet to be seen, whether it's bringing couples closer together or driving them to divorce court. It's something award-winning writer Valerie Schultz has been thinking about while locked down with her husband and kids, and she joins us now. And Valerie, you wrote about this topic in America Magazine, the article titled "Keeping Your Marriage Vows Under Coronavirus Quarantine." How are you and your husband navigating the for better or worse part of your vows, since the lockdown can really bring out the worst in people?
We seem to have found a kind of a rhythm. We seem to have our bad days on different days, so that's helpful that, you know, we can kind of tell if one of us is having one of those days where it seems like everything is crashing down, the other one becomes supportive. You save your bad day for a different day, because if we both have a bad day, that's not going to be good. But I don't know, we've just sort of fallen into a rhythm that sort of a complementary relationship, but it takes practice.
Sure, that's good. You're kind of trading off days. What about for richer or poorer? Some couples are not only dealing with too much togetherness while working from home, many have lost jobs. What are your thoughts on that?
Having had a history of money problems in our younger days, I know it's a enormous stress on married couples. It's probably one of the biggest factors that'll lead to a divorce. And so in these times, it's I know the word unprecedented is overused, but it's so difficult to be dealing with financial problems, whether you can pay your bills, taking care of your kids' needs when maybe you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from. We're in a situation that my husband works for the state, so he's working from home and our income is fairly secure. But, you know, my heart goes out especially to younger couples and those with younger children that are really having to navigate this and maybe having to rely on people in a way that they've never had to before. And that is a very huge stress on a marriage, I think.
Sure. And another one is in sickness and in health. You know, what if one or both spouses have a health condition that puts them at greater risk of the virus? How do you deal with that added anxiety?
Well, it's interesting because we're an older couple. We're coming up on our 40th wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. But I think, you know, things that we used to think of as health problems have become put in perspective by the virus, that, you know, things we might have rushed to the doctor to before, we're just sort of home remedying now. And, you know, that is one of the biggest concerns right now. And again, especially for parents with young children, they have to make arrangements for their children if they were to get ill or you know, figure it out on their own, and that must be very difficult and not a position I'm in right now. But.
Right. Tell me, how has your faith helped you get through all of this and stick together?
You know, I think of marriage as a sacrament, and we've always treated our marriage as a sacrament. And I think sometimes we think of marriage as a one-time sacrament, like you have it once and then it's done, like, you know, confirmation, you do that once. But marriage, I think you work on it every day. It's kind of a continuing sacrament, and it's something sacred that is greater than the sum of its parts in a way. And I think if you keep that in mind, that what you're working on together is bigger than the two of you, it's helpful.
All right, something good to think about. If anyone wants to read the article, go to americamagazine.org. And Valerie, thanks for all of the advice.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
The founder of the Knights of Columbus, the world's largest Catholic fraternal organization, is going to be beatified. Father Michael McGivney began the Knights in 1882 to offer financial help to families who lost their breadwinners. Now the order has more than 2 million members coming to the aid of people around the world. Pope Francis is approving a miracle attributed to Father McGivney's intercession, opening the way to his beatification, the last step before canonization. No date has been set for the ceremony, and the Vatican postponed all previously scheduled beatifications because of the pandemic. The priest's legacy lives on. One example is found with the Knights in Queens. They're supplying breakfast to workers at Queen of Peace residence in Queens Village. The Queens Councils also gave more than $2,000 to the nuns running the home for pandemic relief. The Knights also gave food to Flushing Hospital and Kohler Hospital on Roosevelt Island. Their next delivery is set to go to Elmhurst Hospital. Still to come on Currents News, a UPS driver shows his true patriotic colors when he thought no one was looking. Also ahead, we're going to toot our own horn. Some good news for the Currents News team we'd like to share with you. Acts of kindness and patriotism. As an essential worker, a UPS delivery man took the time to unfurl an American flag that had gotten tangled in the wind. He didn't know anyone was watching. Amanda Gilbert has that story from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
This video out of Adair is going viral. It shows a UPS driver just doing his job. That is until he takes a few extra moments out of his day to fix a rolled up American flag.
He noticed my flag was rolled up from all the wind, and he stopped on the way out to take it down.
Mom Chelsea Ashley was getting ready for the day when her 2 kids heard the doorbell ring. So she checked her camera phone app.
And I saw him at the end adjusting it, and by the time I got out there too, he was gone. Like, he had just pulled off.
The UPS driver didn't know anyone was watching.
I thought that was so cool, like what he was doing when nobody was looking.
Hundreds have viewed the video on social media, including a veteran who cried while watching.
That made me emotional because it's making vets cry. And she said, it makes it worth it when we're gone for a long time. Like, this is what makes it worth it.
Ashley says she's just glad people are seeing this.
That flag stands for so much. It's so heavy. And I want everyone to know how much we respect our vets. Just something uplifting and positive right now because of everything going on, right now.
That was Amanda Gilbert reporting. The delivery driver has yet to be identified. And finally tonight, a congratulations to the Currents News team for winning 9 awards for their top-notch coverage. The honors, called the Telly Awards, recognize excellence in video and television across all screens. And Currents News got 1 gold Telly Award, 4 silver, and 3 bronze for our newscasts, reporter stories, and social media videos. We also won a People's Telly Award, receiving the most votes for one of our broadcasts. So to the producers, directors, editors, reporters, and photographers, a thank you to you for your hard work. And before we go, we want to repeat some information for you. For help that's being offered to moms and newborns, go to emcfrontline.org or log on to amazon.com/baby-reg and type in the words Sisters of Life. And to get a memorial for a loved one who passed away in the pandemic, contact Rita Piro at rpmemorials@gmail.com. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.